Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the WGC Dell match play. These are my picks going from the coming out of the group of 16 all the way to the finals. I'll also cover again, just in case you didn't see the previous show, who I picked to come out of each of the 16 groups. And I'm trying to get this out as soon as possible, so I'm literally releasing this on Monday evening. The other show I did came out earlier today. And that way there you've got a full day to kind of decompress all this information and make your picks. And without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing I want to bring up, and this is going to sound like common sense, but this happens every year, guaranteed. If you do not have the bracket up when you are making your picks on DraftKings or FanDuel, you could pick the same guys in the same group, which of course would be moronic because you would pick guys that are going to eliminate each other. So you do want to try to do a strategy of picking at least, when you fill out your bracket, take your four and then, pick a couple guys that you want to fill in, but just make sure you're not killing yourself by taking guys all in the same bracket. Now, again, you could take coming out of like this group here, you could pick two guys. So that way there you're for sure, feel like you're getting to the, at least the semifinals or into the finals. But I just want to make sure that you have the bracket up when you're doing your DFS picks and make sure you don't pick guys that are in the same grouping. And again, I know it sounds like it's common sense, but it does happen. And there's going to be people that are new to DFS that maybe just really dig match play with March Madness going on and like, oh, I'm going to put together a bracket for golf too. And they're going to make that mistake probably. So anyways, enough of that. All right, 2017 results. I'm only showing you this. There's, like I said, there's not a ton of back history we have on this, especially from a stroke gain analysis. So just so you can see in the past of some of the guys that come out, and also it might even show you that, hey, there is the ability for sleepers to come out. Now, in this one, not too crazy, here's where Kisner actually in 2017 didn't make it out of the first round. What's funny enough is I think DJ, of course, won this one, but he actually after this has never made it out of the first round. So something to note. It's very volatile. But I just highlighted some of the guys, of course, that we are going to be looking at here as options. It's kind of funny. Justin Thomas, again, in this one was the second ranked player, and GJ was the first ranked player in 2017. So this bracket might look, familiar, but this is 2017 results. Of course, you had Rory that made it to the finals and lost. You had Cantlay and Casey who made it all the way to third place. Who I like in this kind of format. Reed, of course, I like in this format. If you look down here, Rom got eliminated, and Kiradek Epi Barnrat actually made it, out of that group. So there's a good showing that you never know what can happen. RBC, Rafa Cabrera Barrow, an amazing iron player, especially in his day. He's kind of fall a little bit back. Made it all the way to the what I'll call the grade 8. Brennan Grace that came out of here. I mean, really, you had Leishman and Watson that he had to beat. And you had Fratelli that came out of the Schauffele, Shawarma, and Sergio Garcia. And I apologize if the reading on the other ones, I actually have the players that pop up so you know who I picked. All right, we look at 2018, a little bit different. I pulled this off this golf blogger because I could not find it anywhere else. And I didn't have a copy of mine. But this is the year 2018 with Bubba wins. And again, just so you can see some of the people that made it out of these groups. So again, DJ, number one player. And Kisner was in there again. And this time Kisner, of course, made it out and made it all the way to the finals with Bubba. Kuchar, who made it out of the first group. Louis, who made it out. You got Patrick Reed again, who made it out. Alex Noron. Maybe a bit of a sleeper. He beat Kevin Na, Tony Finau, and Thomas Peters. See what else. Cameron Smith made it through. Tyrell Hatton. Cameron Smith made it all the way to the grade 8. Look at Kiradek Epi Barnrat again. So what group did he actually come out of? He came out of, again, beat John Rahm. That's interesting. And made it all the way to the Final Four. So he must like match play. He's not in this, what we're talking about today. He had Brian Harman, who I like, made it out, beat Rory McIlroy. So again, just showing CH3, Charles Howell III. That's not a very strong group. Satoshi Kodair at RBC again. So that one's not too much of a shocker. Yeah, Sergio and Kyle Stanley back in the day, who made it out, beat Casey and Fitzpatrick. So again, just to give you some visual that you never know what's going to happen. You had Siwoo Kim that came out, and who I do like. It's not one of my picks. I think I had him as like a number 2 out of my bracket, or number 2 in that group coming out. But a great Pete Dye player. Okay. And then lastly, 2019, the most recent one. Of course, it wasn't played in 2020. Of course, Kevin Kisner won this one. Matt Kuchar made it to the end. You had Na, who made out. Justin Rose, who did make, as far as I remember, he did get an invite but turned it down. So he's one of the top 64 players that decided not to play. Again, Kevin Na and Molinari. Molinari took him to make it to the finals, or to at least the quarterfinals. I believe that's what that would be. Maybe it's semifinals, if I actually said it correctly. Again, also all the play will for the first groups will be through Wednesday through Friday, and then the weekends when you get into the single elimination stuff, from my understanding. Hao Tong Lee was kind of a shocker. I think this was like the first time for a lot of even myself that got our first kind of view of Hao Tong Lee. That was the same as Lucas Beauregard, a couple guys that we really never knew much about and came out and kind of shook the world up. And of course, Lucas made it all the way to the semifinals. Trying to see if there was any other upsets. I don't think so. But again, just to give you a visual of how these things can go. There's definitely going to be some upsets coming out of some of these groups. It's just the way it works. And then I just pulled up Antoine Rozner, just because he's probably the one guy I would guess you would not have heard of a lot unless you watch a lot of European golf. I don't know if he's even played on an American tour event. Maybe he was in the past WGC workday. I don't remember, to be honest. But I only bring him up because he recently won just this what's it, past weekend or weekend before the Commercial Bank Qatar Masters. Of course, they're over there. But the field was all European. I don't think there was any Americans in that field. At least I didn't scan the whole field. And the course was like wide open. Some sand, but huge fairways, a pretty easy track. So that seems like kind of what you'll see over here, at least when they get in the Middle East, swing the Saudi, the Omega Dubai, the Abu Dhabi, all those tournaments. They're not like the Players or like where they're going. So anyways, I bring up Antoine Rozner just so you can see his recent starts, where he's at from a swing perspective. So he's got a driving accuracy. He ranks about 40th on the European Tour. Driving distance, pretty good. So he can hit the tee ball. Green and reg's not bad. I mean, everything he has here is top 50 or better. Sand saves is probably his lowest, but I just wanted you guys to get a look at this guy. Like I said, he's had a pretty good past 5 top. You can look at, he's got 3 top 20s, so a win, a top 10, a top almost 15, then a 36 and a 26. So the guy can play. I don't know how this course is going to suit him. Anyway, so someone to consider. I mean, he would definitely be a sleeper, and typically these are the guys that will at least make it through round 1. But it's not a pick of mine, but it's not going to shock me. If you want to differentiate, it might be something to look at. Okay, and then I've already went over these picks earlier, but I'm going to go again just in case you did not check out my earlier show. So coming out again out of this pool here, which I don't have numbered, but I think it's pool 1. I got Kevin Na. My upset out of this, Leishman, Henley, and would be Victor Perez, which is not a huge upset. He's ranked second in that group. But just watching what I saw from M recently, I'm not super stoked about him. I got Casey coming out of here, Garcia, DeChambeau, Will Z. I got Answer, Billy Horschel, Justin Thomas, Spieth, Harmon, Reed, Scheffler, Cameron Smith, Berger, and Rahm. So that's all the guys that I've got coming out of the groups. And then let's jump over into the analysis. Then I'll finish up showing you my picks going forward. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I want you guys to be able to see some of the analysis I've done so you can make your own decisions. And like I said, I'll kind of give you my thoughts. So what you're looking at here, of course, is the key stat areas, key stroke gain areas that I'm looking at. Approach, good drives, the proximity from 100 to 125, tee to green, and then birdie or better gained opportunities. You can see their salary, projected ownership. Again, this is being recorded Monday night around 8:30 Eastern. Um, and then the two other things that I think is important, of course, we typically at this course, and I mentioned this in the earlier show, that it is going to be windy. Typically, blows between 16 and 20 miles an hour. So I wanted to see how these guys played tee to green in the wind. This is over their past 24 rounds in the wind. So there was, it just looks at the different wind conditions they had. And then putting splits, I'm looking at, of course, bent, Bermuda, POA. And that was kind of the high level information to start kind of breaking down who I wanted to look at further. I did look at some comp courses. Again, though, it's match play is just so different. I think they were talking to Kisner earlier, and he did a great job just saying, literally every hole is its own kind of little mini tournament, and then of course each time that you play a match is like a small tournament, right? And so you're always playing a guy. There's always different decisions made on things that you're seeing, and the putter is a great equalizer, as always stated, but it's even more when you are, say you've got like a Jordan Spieth that struggles around the hole, chips it, in the hole for, for a par or a birdie where you think he's totally out of the hole, or he makes a putt from 60 feet, where again, you think that you've got the hole one. It's a lot of mental stuff that's going on. And the putter seems to cause the most of that. And I agreed with Kisner on that. So again, I was already leaning towards guys that were, good putters. Of course, they got to have other things. It can't just be a good putter, like maybe like a JT Poston or something. But, anyways, just thought I'd bring that little side note. And on the last thing I will bring up, if you saw the Jordan, this is just a total side note. Jordan Spieth had an earlier presser that they showed, and all I'm mentioning was that he was mentioning he had a hand injury. I guess I believe it was around the 2018 time. It was a bone chip that I don't think he ever had it taken care of, but did cause some issues on and off. But was never really brought up. I'm not saying that was the whole cause by any stretch of the struggles that he went through, but was it a small piece? Probably. And then the last thing I heard, I guess Rory made a change from a swing coach, and I'm blanking out on the guy's name, but that's kind of interesting too, that he's made that change, of course, with some of the things that we discussed even earlier about, some of the issues he's had with the swing recently. Okay, let's get into the analysis. All right, so of course Justin or DJ, is elite on all these areas. Really, what it comes down for me with DJ is, the putter has been suspicious, and that's his almost not his worst surface, but pretty close. As you see here, he doesn't actually gain strokes on any surface with a putter, but it's been worse. And I just still feel, like I said earlier, he's a little bit on the Masters hangover. He doesn't done well, except he did win here in 2017, but since then he's never made it out like the first round. So all that just kind of, I just don't think this means a lot to him. Of course it's a chunk of money, but I'm just going on the feeling that I don't think it's something that he's too worried about if he does that great or not. And I think he's, like I said, still in a hangover's master, or the Masters hangover, which of course is coming up next weekend. So it might be something that's on his mind. All right, Justin Thomas. I do like him to get out of his foursome. Of course, he gains quite a bit in the wind, so almost a stroke and a half when it's crazy windy, moderate windy, almost a stroke 0.8. And his best surface is Bermuda. He is awesome on all this, and then of course this is bringing up some past where he was struggling with a double miss, but we just saw him win the Players, so I'm feeling like he's got a handle on the driver and hopefully confidence with it. So as long as that keeps going, we're good. I like Bryson. Again, he's had some shaky drives. And this distance here has caused a little bit of problems at times, but I feel like he's gotten better with that. Of course, he's been in amazing form. I'm not going over recent results and course history, because there is no course history for these guys because there's no stroke gain data. So this is the things that I'm looking at. And again, this is pulling off the past 24 rounds here. So you're getting stroke gain data from that, but not at the actual course. Okay, so DeChambeau I like. He meets the areas I need. He can play in the wind. If it gets really windy, it's showing he's not that great, but if it stays moderate, which that's what the expectations are, he's fine. He does gain on Bermuda almost a half stroke. Rahm ticks all the boxes here. Again, can handle the wind. And Bermuda is not his best surface, and Rahm has been struggling a little bit with the putter. I think that's nice to say. He's been struggling with the putter is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, like I said, I just think out of that field he's coming out of. I like him to to emerge, even though he's not had a ton of success in this event either. Morikawa is just a putter. It's just so off and on Jekyll and Hyde right now with the new grip change. So a little leery about that. Rory, where I know the swing changes. Sanders just been kind of blah, and he's also not had good success getting out of the first round here. Cantley has some success, but I haven't seen a whole lot from him since the AT&T Pebble Beach. He does not gain on Bermuda really at all, and wind can be a problem for him. Just again going by what this information that I know, but does meet all the boxes here. So he's ticking all the things I want out of that. Patrick Reed, no shocker, the guy's done well in this format. We know he's a match play master, awesome in the rider. The guy just grinds it. He loves match play. Now that's something it's hard to explain, but there's just guys that love this format, and that's like the Kevin Kisners and Patrick Reed's. Like even I think Spieth, I think he thrives in this. If you see him and watch him at all the different Ryder Cups, so and everything ticks the boxes. Gains almost a stroke when it's windy. Of course, he's a great putter, one of the best in the field. So yeah, I like everything I see there. Victor, great tee to green. Is showing here that maybe not as great in the wind. We already know that the putter can be an issue. Bermuda is his worst surface over past history, but he's got that 5-point aim system or where the heck it is that he's implemented, and he's at least was being very successful with it and believed in it. I don't know, maybe lately his putting has not been good. I'm talking about maybe like the last 4 or 5 rounds of golf, not tournaments, but just rounds of golf. He's been a little rough. Jordan, everything's good here, and this is kind of shocking, but I think he is amazing with his pitching wedges. So, again, maybe that's pulling some older data or something, but the guy can play in the wind. Of course, he's from Texas. He's played at this course a lot. On the Texas narrative, you got Ryan Palmer, you got Scheffler, all guys that can play in the wind, all guys from Texas. So I like 2 out of 3. And of course, crazy good putter. Sundays, he's had a little issues with Sunday putts lately, but still feel good about it. Tony's kind of funny. He's a little out of sight, out of mind, right? He missed a cut at the Players. Up to that, he was just killing it, taking second everywhere. He had the second, was it the Genesis that Max took him to playoff with? No reason why Tony can't do well here, but also just past history, he's not done well getting out of the first group. Webb, I just think his game is not, I keep trying to, I'm a big Webb fan, and everything makes sense for this. But just everything I've seen recently, he's just not firing where he needs to be. But gains on Bermuda, showing here he's steady, playing to win. I guess what shocks me is that Webb's been doing some things that typically he didn't. So his putter has been sporadic, where he was just an amazing putter. He was a little sporadic with the driver. So just a few of those things make me a little nervous. But who knows? Like I said, he's a guy that definitely could come out and win this thing. I like Berger a lot. I think everything he is a lot kind of similar to Webb. I think he's probably a little better driver of the ball, but great on Bermuda. Can play in the wind. Ticks all my boxes here. Of course, Paul Casey, just elite tee to green. Been playing well. Also can play in the wind. His putter, of course, is what's going to come down, and that's probably the one guy that he's just been showing a little more life with the putter. He's also showed some oopsies, but he's more good than bad. So hopefully that carries over. Sungjae Im, just his approach has been a bit off. Of course he loves putting on Bermuda, so that's one thing. And it says here, he can play in moderate, maybe not as much if it gets really crazy windy. Fitzy, great putter. He was one that I was kind of looking at. You could see, wind he can handle. He can handle Bermuda. It was a toss-up, and I had to wait till I get it back in there, but it was between him and someone else that was really good. But one of the tougher groups, I thought. Same with Terrell, but, I've been riding Terrell. And again, it probably will happen where I've been on him since he hit the Florida swing because he's a good Bermuda putter, great iron player, can play in the wind. Everything, again, sets up good, and I think Terrell has at least made it out of the first round before. I don't know if he's ever went deep. We have to go back and look at the results, but just not sure where he's at mentally with this kind of game. Cameron Smith, now, I look at him like a Patrick Reed. not that amazing tee to green, really good when he gets on the green and around the green. And that's kind of the guys I'm looking for. Again, if I think about the Masters that I mentioned earlier, guys that just kind of fought their way around that. Jason Day been better, but the putter's just been a disaster, which is just still kind of fathomable how you can get your tee to green game going and the putter goes south on you. But won the here 2014, 2015 back to back. But that was a different Jason Day. That's the simplest way to put that. Sergio Garcia has been showing good form. Of course, the putter is always spooky, but it's a Pete Dye course. He said he loves Pete Dye courses. Of course, he just came out and was firing at the players, and was a first round leader. And tee to green, great. If his putter does well, he just also loves match play, has a lot of background in match play, and typically gets out of the first round. So Hateki's just a pass. She's just he's not even hitting. I don't even think he's hitting his approaches that well, and really can't putt that well. So that's just a pass. Louis is interesting, right? But it's just, does Louis going to show up and want to play? I think if he gets in a hunt, he could be dangerous. As in, if he gets through the first round, Louis could do something. I think his game kind of fits this format again, like a Kisner, but again, he's lumped in that crazy Justin Thomas Kisner. They call it the whatever the death squad or the death match or whatever. I call it. It's just a tough one. A lot of the guys that it would have been nice to see them spread out, but they're all in the same. So you got to make a decision. He's either Kisner, Louis, or Justin Thomas. I'm going with Thomas on everything I've seen. Joaquin Niemann could be this could be great for him. I mean, he really ticks all the boxes I see here. Elite, tee to green, hits a low ball flight, can definitely play in the wind. Again, I don't remember who he was paired with, but he was like 1A and 1B, and he was 1B. I finally just came to the conclusion. But someone definitely I think about Scotty Scheffler. Like Scotty, again, Texas guy, has been playing well. He can get super hot with the putter, but he can also, miss some 4 or 5 footers. But like everything I see here, net is his best surface is Bermuda. Will Z, I don't think he's a sleeper, but he's never played in this before. But his game has just been immaculate. I think he might thrive in this kind of environment. Kind of want to prove something. Of course, Bermuda is not his best surface, but I like Will Z. I'll be putting him in. Fleetwood, just I was on him. I don't know, a few tournaments ago. He's done well here before. He could definitely get out of the first group, but yeah, someone that I'm not going to be looking at. Corey was probably the hardest decision to not go with, and again, I don't have the bracket right in front of me. I have it on the other slide. So when I get to it, I'll talk to you about it. But it was between him and someone else, and I just went with someone else. But I mean, as you see, he's been playing amazing and been putting well on Bermuda. Just hasn't been able to finish. He's had some opportunities to win some tournaments here recently, and just missed a few crucial putts. And maybe it was the answer. I don't think they're in the same group, but well, maybe they are, because I remember they have such a similar game and also lack putting. But answer is just due to have a good putting round. So I think he'll enjoy this format. I think he'll do well. Westwood just burned out, tired. Bezadenhout, could do well, but just missing on too many things. But does like Bermuda. Kisner just hasn't been that great of recent form, but guy loves this format. I mean, he probably lives for this thing. So it's hard to pick Justin over him. And, I'm not going to lie, I'll probably put a couple teams in with Justin out and him in, because I just know how much this guy loves this event and will thrive in it. Kokrak also good, good on all the areas that I'm looking at, just so you see. Decent and moderate, maybe not as good if it gets really windy. But net putting, don't let that fool you. The guy's been putting way better. I've mentioned multiple times, he said he added an inch to his putter, and it's just been night and day. The guy's been killing it. Russ Henley, again, firing all cylinders, can play in moderate, maybe not as good in heavy winds, but loves to put on Bermuda. And he did show some life at the Honda Classic. Before that, his driver was all over the lot. Where Russ is elite on approach and usually really good with the putter, but he was just struggling with the driver. Max just played a ton of golf, and you can see, I think he missed a cut at the Players. I'm not saying he could do great here. It's just, I just think he's just played so much, and after that win at the Genesis, it meant so much, so much it should. I'm just kind of like fading him on just on that pure reason. Bubba's game is just not where where we saw it back when he was going to like the Masters and all. He was had a really nice stretch. Now again, he's done well here, 1-1, likes this format, so you never know. He is positive on Bermuda. The guy can play to win, so you don't know. Pete Dye, specialist Siwoo Kim. Don't count him out. It's done well in this event. It's the putter when it comes down to Siwoo. Now, if this was an event you needed to play showdown to get some birdies, I'd say roster this guy. But for the full look of the tournament, can he have a hot day? Yep. Can he have 7 hot days? Probably not. Harris English just been trash. I'm just going to leave it at that. Nothing even to talk about. Since the Tournament of Champions, I don't know what happened, but the guy is just falling apart. Brian Harman, I think, he's shown some recent good life, and I think he could be sneaky. I think he's a plotter. I think he'll do well on here. Maybe let's come back and bite me, but the guy can play and win. He's shown good form recently, and also can play can put on Bermuda. It's a good putter. Billy Horschel, I like a lot. Just the approach maybe be a little shaky, but all these area ticks the box. Can definitely play to win. Loves to put on Bermuda, and I just feel like again the guy is a competitive dude, as they all are competitive, but he just seems uber competitive. And maybe that's because he just shows emotions a little more than some of the other guys. Kevin, I already mentioned, does well in this format. I am not a Kevin Na fan. It doesn't matter. I just think he's going to do well here as long as he doesn't withdraw the. But the good news is if Kevin shoots an 11 on a hole, it doesn't matter. It does either win the hole or lose the hole. It doesn't matter if you shoot 100 on a hole. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But guy can plan to win. He's got a crazy hot putter. And Kevin's either super on or super off. That's all there's to say. Either that guy is hitting every fairway and putting it within 5 feet of the pin or draining everything, or he's all over the lot. So this could come back to bite me, but I'm going to go with him. Shane Lowry, disaster with a putter. Matthew Wallace, just not a whole lot there. I mean, he could be someone interesting. It's an all-European group, so that's kind of a difficult one. There's, quite a few guys out of there. It looks good. You got Terrell Hatton, him. Who did I even pick out of that group? I can't remember off the top of my head. But, yeah, it's a solid group, but he definitely does not look like the guy to come out. But you never know. All right, I mentioned Ryan Palmer, local Texan, great showdown player. If you need someone to put 18 holes together. But I think, again, for this full event, I don't think he's got the game to keep it going and hasn't really done well in this event. I think Lanto is going to be sneaky. And Lanto is hard not to pick. Again, back to that Kevin Kisner kind of statement, I will probably have some teams where I swap out in DFS for Lanto. So just side note to that. But the guy's been playing well, and everything lines up perfect for him. Matthew Wolff, do I even need to discuss? He would be the ultimate, maybe outright bet, or I don't even know what he's ranked at. I think the highest is like odds is like 200 to 1. And who was that? It was Adam Long. I think it's at 200 to 1. But Matthew Wolff should be at 300 to 1 as far as I'm concerned. Again, nothing against the guy. He just has some things he's got to work out before I ever put him on a roster again. Carlos Ortiz, I look at him like a lot like Joaquin Niemann. Great from tee to green typically. I guess you could switch it around. Maybe not as good on approach, but better putter. But I got an outright bet on him to win the Masters. Who knows? But just the odds were really good, and I think he right before he won the Vivint Houston Open. So I don't know if odds changed after that. Leishman, he's done well in this event. Great putter. His game's gotten a lot better than where it was at, so he could be someone that's live. Poulter, no. Just I don't. I look at him and Henrik Stenson about in the same boat. Mickelson, they're all on the downside of their career. I don't know how much practice or time they're putting in, and I'm pointing this more at Henrik Stenson than probably Ian Poulter. Kuchar, same thing, just terrible recent form, but loves his format. It's done well in this format. He also, I'm going to blank, but he won. There was that like winter event that it's like a 2-man team event. I'm totally forget PNG Bank or doesn't matter. He did have a win. It was like I said, it was with another player doing best ball and whatnot. So that's probably the last time I saw that he had any kind of show of good form. I guess the way to put it. Victor Perez, the guy that I said that I think is going to be the sneaky guy, and not super sneaky. We've seen a little bit of Victor here recently, but to the average layman, I think he's going to be someone that will come out and shock some people. Good on Bermuda. Says here you can't play and win, which is interesting. But I don't know why. It's one of those things where just what I've seen the guy do here recently. Um, he's the guy that I think could be the Lucas Beauregard. Could also be Antoine Rozner. So who knows? The Gooch, some decent form, not that great at the Honda Classic, but he had, of course, the showing. I believe it was at the Players. Like I said, all these tournaments are starting to run together in my brain. But I'm sure he'll be. Robert McIntyre could be one of those guys too that just thrives at this. But there was nothing here, and even what I've seen, it didn't help that I watched Robert McIntyre, I believe, on Sunday on PGA Tour Live, and the guy I think off the first tee hooked it OB. It was just, and the guy was hitting it all over the lot, and this was at the Players. Again, not saying that's a game he's going to bring here, but when you see something like that for like the first time you really watch someone, it kind of sticks in your brain. And then also everything's sitting here is not looking good. Fratelli, he's had a couple decent, good shows of life recently. Had a good show at the Masters. He's a guy for showdown, awesome. He can go out and shoot a 62, and the next day go out shoot an 82. That's just kind of his game. Brendan Todd, not where he was at either, but from a plotter perspective, he hitting the fairways and greens, and can put on Bermuda, but you can see his game's fallen a little bit back. EVR, no. I think he shot 5 over on Sunday at the Honda, and he just hasn't done anything lately. JT Poston, you can't have just one. You can't be good at one thing and do well here, and that's JT. Streelman, I think, is interesting. He's another guy that I'll probably plug in if I, do the multiple lineups. Can play in the wind. Maybe not the best on Bermuda, but overall good player. That's why I put there's no information on Fantasy National regarding Rozner, so that's why I gave you what I showed you. Wiesberger, there's nothing here that makes me excited, so I'll just leave it at that. Munoz, again, great showdown player. Don't think he can keep it going or sustained. Can he get out of the first group? Maybe, but I'm not betting on it. Mackenzie Hughes, same thing with JT Poston. You can't be good at just one thing and do well here. He's elite putter, but everything else is a little stinky. Rozner, for your odds, like I said, you could see, the guy at times, tee to green can be, very solid, but, why great players are great and why other guys are just kind of middle of the road is putting 4 consecutive days together is difficult. And, Adam Long had his opportunities to win a couple tournaments. I don't know if you want to call it the swing season, which is not that anymore, but it was kind of the swing season where a lot of, it wasn't always the best of the best, at the Corrales, Punta Cana, or, those kind of events at Bermuda. He had some good showings, but it kind of went south. And then Andy Sullivan, not much to say there. Everything's just kind of not so good, but again, who knows? That could be the guys that could come sneak out. Andy Sullivan hasn't been playing that well over in the European Tour either, so I'm not too worried about him. Okay. Hope you stuck with me through all that. Let's go back to the picks. Okay, so I went through the Sweet 16, so we know who I've got coming out of each group. And I was curious, so this was it. So yeah, I think one of the tougher groups to pick through. I mean, the nice part is you get to remove Wolf, but Fitzpatrick, Connors, and Spieth, it wouldn't shock me whoever wins that's going to go pretty far. And where was another group? It doesn't matter. Okay, let's get into this. All right, my grade 8 picks. All right, so who's coming out? I've got Nah beating Perez. I've got Casey beating Garcia. I've got Will Z beating DeChambeau. And I've got Horschel beating Answer. Over on the other side, I got Spieth beating Thomas, which is kind of interesting, right? Good friends, but that's what I've got. And I like Reed beating Harmon. I'm taking Cam Smith to beat Scheffler, who, again, I think is a good pick, good Texas pick. And I've got Berger beating Rahm. So that's what my grade 8 is looking like. We get into my final 4. I like Paul Casey. I like Horschel, Spieth, and Berger to come out of there. And then for my finals, I've actually got Horschel and Jordan Spieth, which that might be a little shocking to people, but I'm on the Jordan Spieth train. The guy, man, has he been playing well. And the guy, I think in match play and putting, I like the guy. I like the guy to win. And so, of course, my third place match would be Casey and Berger. So that's it. That's who I'm taking. Hopefully you got to see some information that will help you make your own picks. There is no wrong on this one. I really believe that. Like, it's a little bit like March Madness that, there's going to be some Oral Roberts, and then you're going to have the Gonzagas that should win it all. And who knows if they do or don't. But I think it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite tournaments to watch. I hope you guys all the best. I hope that helps. Again, remember when making your picks, be looking at your bracket when you're on DFS, and just make sure you don't pick guys that can eliminate you. Also, I mentioned from a betting perspective, I didn't actually put any bets. Let me. I'm thinking, well, you can see a Horschel. I don't know where Horschel's coming in at. I think he'll be probably decent odds, and maybe Jordan. I don't know where his odds are, but those are probably the guys that I put bets. And then one and done. If you haven't used Billy Ho, be a good place. Burger, if you didn't use them on the Florida swing, which I'm guessing you probably did. But of course, I always say Jordan Spieth for the John Deere. But hey, this is in Texas, and this could be a nice place to put a one and done for Jordan Spieth. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the golf. This, I think, is one that no matter if your guys get eliminated or not, it's a lot of fun to watch. Maybe not so much fun when it gets down to the final Sunday afternoon, but, I think all in all, it's a pretty cool format. We don't get to see it only but once a year. All right. Talk to you guys later. All the best.